Hello and welcome to Failure and Analysis. I'm playing Blood Bowl 2 with my Bretonnian team. Game 1 against Halflings. Let's get excited. I gotta fix my title here. Nice. Just that one line. One of my favorites was the argument about the eye color of the one guy. We totally had that guy on our game. Oh, it's Sven Rudabega. So an excellent coach. Playing some first game flings. Should be fun. 320k. Yeah, we totally had that guy who was like, don't look at my character sheet, I have all kinds of hidden info on it. You don't know what color my eyes are, they're gray. No, they're blue. Oh, he didn't get the extra tree. But he did get a wizard and a chef. This could be bad for my...
That's because they shared a vault with the gold wizards. And nobody.
That's right. So classic, the angry pun. In front of you is darkness. You know, the fighter's pulling out a torch and you're just like, I got one spell. Throw it at the darkness. Hey, Mike Machine, how you doing? Oh, and Puggy. Puggy's a beast.
Are you ready to play?
Very nice. Good morning, sir.
Chef cooking now. Smells good.
Here we go. How many rerolls do I get?
And we've got an interesting choice. One where the sides are not equally matched. Bob's quite excited.
Thrill, more like
I'll kick it.
I love me some
Oh, I get 0. I get the 0. Yeah. Yep. Oh, I'll just do Sacred Protection. That's a great lineup. Green Shield. This one, you know, at least it only has 3 guys on the line, right? So, somebody put some thought in. Can't wait to wrestle some halflings down. It's going to be great. Master Grinder of Dwarves, yep. You need to take a mental break off, you did, and play some flings, chuck some things around. Because nobody tosses a dwarf. Why, thank you, H.E. Wizard. I do come up with the thickest defensive formations around. Just a little King's Rule. Just a little. Another awesome thing for the new, the new player. So, I don't know what to do. I'll use one of them. I'll trust the designer. They put these together for this team, for this moment. Just like, nope. It is the worst possible. I mean, that guy within frenzy range, one of the better players in frenzy range on the line of scrimmage, right? Like, just madness. How thick it's got the Automod, so great. The thick is so hip, man, or the Automod is so hip. Stays up with all the kids' lingos.
There's two big guys, there's always better than one.
Yes. Yes, I have seen that. It's just madness, right? Like, are those in a book somewhere I'm not aware of? Like, did they take that out of some supplement for the game, the tabletop game? That, because there's no way that anybody who's ever played Blood Bowl came up with those or reviewed them and edited them, right? Like, there's just no way. Yeah, I mean that's a whole like wish list thing, right? Like, obviously the UI has lots of its little problems, but yeah, they just, I don't know. Phew. It is not good. They are not good. No! I don't have any tackle. Oh, I hate this. Marked.
Close and personal, Bob.
They need to be close. So close they can smell your breath and see the dead insects in your teeth. Loose ball is a dangerous ball.
Players arrive to assist their teammate. Surrounded by adversaries like that, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, whatever. That's what I hate, Because it's not like the decision there was very compelling or difficult. It just looked like he went AFK, like, oh, it's his turn, I'll go do whatever. By the way, one of the reasons I love Nurgle and the other teams, they have no Apo. They either regenerate or they don't. They rarely have dodge. You can AFK pretty easily. Eventually they get stand firm, but it's a great AFK team. Yeah, that's the thing with those, you know, like, I could totally understand why they didn't give you the option at first. It's nice to have the option, but for, again, for new players or players that are learning the game, man, he just chucked Ham and got it back. The returning Ham Hawk. That's crazy. That was amazing. Yeah, for average player, it's like, eh. Oh, here comes this loner again. Oh, nice. The Ornan scatter. He threw a ham. Yeah, that was amazing. I'll base these dudes. I don't know what ham can do. That's true. Apparently. Get punched. Little bugger. Oh, did I just casually dodge away there? Did I just casually Ornan scatter that? Dang. Alright, I probably went the wrong way. No problem. I'll take that. Thank you very much. I'll take that. Ouch. Always pray to Zinch. Am I pronouncing it right? Considering what a huge gamer I am, and having played so many role-playing games, my knowledge of the Warhammer universe is embarrassingly bad.
Remember, you need balls to score. Get next to the ball carrier so you can block. And if that doesn't work, stab him in the face.
Hammerang. Like it by Martha.
Put pressure on the ball. Can't argue with that. That's it. Aim for the ball carrier. Take them down.
The Blood God. 40k Dark Angels are number 1. Alright, my knowledge base is complete. Bolters, bathrobes, and beyond. I like it. It does remind me, I gotta put Dawn of War 2 on my list of games that changed me as a designer, as well as one of my favorite games. But first, I must wrestle this toddler down. Oh yeah, and get stunned. Yeah, I like the RTSs a lot too. StarCraft, Command and Conquer. That was fine. It's the single player that the single player to me was just really well done, brilliantly done. Mostly the strategic layer.
It's about to get punched above and below at the same time.
Pushing.
Yeah, I've probably replayed that game 5 times,
They're building a cage around the
but at least 3 of those replays were for the voice acting alone. Like, you can only go so long in life before you have to go back and listen. So the voice acting in that game was so good. I mean, the dialogue, the writing is typically pretty good in 40K stuff, and the backdrop and the setting is pretty amazing too. Yeah, they so nailed it with the voice acting. I literally can't even. The PC Battletech. You talking about the early ones, or this latest one?
says he gets kicked in the face first.
Oh no, KO'd. Yeah, I played that one all the way through. Also, very good. But a lot of missed potential too. I put that one in that category of, like, they left a lot on the table that they could have done. Seemed to be had an identity crisis a little bit, but I'm really looking forward to the expansions and what they do with the game now. Like, and they've talked about how it was a marathon to get to the starting line. You know, they feel like they have a lot more work to do. So I'm excited to see what that means to them, like how they. So I'll be streaming that when it comes out. Can't remember when, but. Yeah, the identity crisis for me was like, it wants to play as a replayable game with the events and stuff like that they put in, but so many of the systems are not particularly replayable. The storyline certainly is not replayable. Like, there's no way it's like an XCOM where you just kind of keep running it back and see what happens this time, you know? Yeah, November, nice. Yeah, they're pretty quick turnaround.
A great game so far.
A great game so far.
But it'll pick up any second, I promise.
That's what they claim. Yeah, because what I want out of that game is just like an XCOM, a replayable, where I build lots of cool mechs and yeah, forced decisions. Like, I don't have unlimited resources, or at least the resources that are there. Like, there was pretty much an optimal way to build most of the mechs, and then there was an optimal mech choice based on which of those optimal builds were actually the best. So, and yeah, the tonnage restriction thing is another, like, unfortunate thing just about. I'm not closing lanes here. Where it's like, why bring light mechs? And they put in that new game mode recently to force you to take light mechs because you have to control a bunch of points that are far apart. But so the second run I started to do was I had to take one of each type, right? So I had to take a light, a medium, a heavy, and an assault. And if I didn't have the heavier ones, I could take more of whatever. But at the very least, if I had it, I had to take one of each, and that was fun. I tried to do I could only use stock builds run, but one of my favorite parts about that game is obviously tweaking out your mech, so it just removed most of the fun. And but the difference between the power level of a stock mech, which the AI almost always uses, and an optimized mech was so ridiculous that I don't know, the numbers of mechs they had to throw at you in order to challenge your little group of guys was just sort of ridiculous. It made you feel really powerful, like you were winning this massive war despite being completely outnumbered, But yeah, that end fight was just a joke. 4-on-4, and they were using all of, like, super tech, but it was like a bunch of extended range nonsense. You know, I was like, I'm glad you weighed your mech down with that garbage. And I just went lots of medium lasers and right. AC-20 medium lasers, the Gauss cannon. The one Gauss cannon you got, SRM-6s.
I should probably say something meaningful to all our cabal vision viewers.
Why are all my guys back here? Oh yeah, because
A snobbing pig in a pie stands more chance for this.
ooh, a stun.
Where's the nearest pie shop?
Yeah, like on top of that, the AI wasn't, I don't know, particularly good. It was okay. Like, it did some, pretty smart things. But yeah, the difference between like you and your optimized mechs versus bad AI or okay AI in really poorly optimized mechs. It's like it literally had to throw 50 mechs at you. And not in waves either, because the waves were just annihilated. Let's take a shot at Pudgy, shall we? Oh, the POW. Who likes to get powed? Pudgy does. Oh, Puggy. Pudgy? Oh, he lost armor. See it. No more heroics for you. Should I double GFI this? Yeah. There we go. Take that, chef. Put that in your pot and eat it. Simeon? What's Simeon? Yeah, new teams, Aliger. How you doing? That would be super. I'd like to. Like the design space for new teams is just so wide open. They have the fantasy element. They can do so many awesome things. But yeah, it's because of the Games Workshop Connect, it's probably pretty difficult. I'm actually shocked that they've been able to make the teams that they have made. Like, it seems like they've given them some leeway to make new teams, which is super exciting. But yeah, the design space is pretty wide open.
That's quite a mystery.
But I hope they do better than... I mean, their track record on new teams has been pretty bad. Kislev pretty bad. And I don't know how much different that is from the tabletop version, if they've always just been bad. But their Corn team from BB1, what I understand, was pretty bad. From a balance perspective, you know. So, they'd have to sharpen up those skills. Uh-oh. Yeah, range, and actually the range of weapons, obviously a big like non-issue. But for me, the biggest thing was I can't remember the name of the skill. That one where you click it and it gives you you take half damage from everything essentially. Because then the opportunity cost of, you know, firing some weapon systems was just way too high compared to just being really tanky. And so, like, I don't think that skill was in the game, right? Like in the tabletop game. And so the reason you had tons of different different ranged weapons on your mech was because you weren't sure what engagement range you were going to be at. And so, but since all you could do was move and shoot, you wanted to make sure you were shooting as much as possible every turn. And so you wanted to make sure you had a weapon that could fire it no matter what range you were at. But in this it was like, you can just run and then be super tanky until you get into the range where you can fire your giant alpha strike and destroy a mech. So you're either super tanky or you're alpha striking. There's no like, well, I'm at long range this turn, I'm going to fire my LRMs, I'm going to get closer, fire my medium, and then I'm going to get short and annihilate him with my short, right? Like, but if I'm not firing a weapon this turn, I'm not doing anything, right? That was sort of one of the reasons why people pack different weapon ranges on their thing, right? And make that, because if you were all SRMs or you were all medium lasers or whatever, then you were just exposed until you got into range to use those things. No, I should have blitzed a halfling with these guys. But I've got Dauntless, watch this. Oh, the simian are apes, okay. Oh, nice. So they have some.
This is going to be enough to come out on top.
They have some precedent for the simian team. I like it. Multitasking. At least they were frogs, yeah. Oh, okay, the next patch. What are they going to do with it? Yeah, Bulwark is the name of that one. Yeah, see, I'm really curious. Like, that's what I love to see from patches and, you know, developers that keep working on a game because they love it. And they have a publisher that allows them to keep working on a game, to see kind of what direction they want to go, what they've learned, and how they want to address, you know, some of the mistakes they made. or in terms of like what they think the mistakes were in their game, and then how to address them if they think they're mistakes, right? So, good night, AG Wizard. Thank you. I'm down a touchdown, so we'll see. But
None of the knockout players seem to have opened intending the next down. That must be a
yeah, average rice, like that's pretty much what most people had. Like if you sort of just do the math, right? Like the math between damage per ton and heat per, damage per heat, it's just like, it's just a formula, and once you solve it, and then the weapon point, you find the right chassis with the weapon points that allow you to do the things that you're mathematically supposed to do. The game is solved, right? So the next time I run it, like I run it back, it's like you're just going to do the same thing over again. There's not a lot of flexibility, and like, why would I need a different setup this time? Like, unless resources are limited, or I was coming up with all of my own rules to try to like, well, I'm only going to use stock mechs, or I have to bring at least one of each, what was one of my other ones? If I lost a mech in the battle, this is turn 8. Oh, I have 2 turns to score. Very nice. If I lost a mech in battle, I'd have to sell it basically, or scrap it, like, so that my mech chassis were limited. Then I have to go find a new one if I wanted to rebuild that thing. So I was trying to do all these weird things to like create the XCOM style experience that I was hoping to get. And it was a lot of work, and I still felt like I'm still just gonna kind of do the same thing I did last time. So I don't know. Loved it the first time around, but the replayability was real low. Yeah, alpha grass. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, and I think anyone with half a like, what's the right word? Like a history with, min-maxing systems. Which, come on, it's BattleTech, right? Mech Warrior. It's like everyone who played that game did a fair bit of this. So. Anyone with even a little bit of experience like that came to all the same conclusions, brain, yeah, you could say brain. I didn't want to be like, but, yeah, so. It's funny because just like in this, like the champion ladder in Blood Bowl, like exposes some of the flaws in the overall game's balance. Because it's a different format that can be played forever, and the game was designed to be played in shorter formats typically, not really eternal leagues. I mean, a league that lasted 100 games was like this crazy thing that was really rare, but now it's pretty standard. Not 100 games is not standard, but it certainly is for some people. And same thing with all these old board games and miniature games. When they're made digital, like, it really exposes some of the flaws. Like, because I don't think the numbers are that different in the game, in the PC game, than they are from the tabletop version. So that just tells me that it was flawed in the tabletop as well, but maybe less so. I don't know. That deep kick is really going to hurt my chances here. Let's wrestle a halfling.
Oh dear. I hope that player has a bit of a will.
Players can barely speak.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Something's happening.
Right. And that's how you approach miniatures games. I mean, that's not a lot of role playing is going on. You're just jamming against a tactically diverse, game with lots of build options, and everyone's trying to figure out what's optimal with this group and that group, and it's a math exercise with, you know, some tons of variables, right? And it's super fun for that reason. And some people are better at min-maxing their teams, and others are better at like on the map, you know, tactical decisions. Perfect defense. That deep kick, killing me. Ready for the no re-roll. 2-turn touchdown action. Jeez.
That's a good economical pass.
That ball moved faster than a Scotty with a run.
I guess that 4+ was dumb. Should have just taken another GFI. Or 3+. 2+ is actually better than 3+, as it turns out. And to be fair, not everyone plays those games in that way. Like, not everyone's treating it like a math exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So gotta do it. There we go. It's done. Lots of good rolls. No. Hey Taylor Bear, how you doing? Yeah, brand new Brett team. Finished my dwarf run. I'm a free man. Bretts. There we go.
That's a dangerous place to be.
Yeah, I get that, Average Rice. It's a tough one. It's also tough because how far can you deviate from the rule book before people that kickstarted your game, or, you know, or love the BattleTech universe start to get kind of really upset, right? Like, because their interest is in balance. Their interest is delivering a digital version of the board game in many cases. So puts the developers in a tough spot. Like, they have to really explain and manage the community to say, hey, we tried these things and we found that, you know, this stuff just wasn't working. Ouch. And so we're going to go a new direction. We're going to try some experimentation. You know, we're going to see where that takes us and get people to kind of go, oh, okay, you know, or freak out. I want my money back. That kind of thing. It's tough. Stop hitting me with trees. Yeah, I imagine the 1 and 2 weapon thing a turn was more common, because again, weapon ranges varied, and you wanted to always be firing because there was no opportunity cost. Your heat would dispense 1 to 2 weapons easily, And so the optimal play was getting to a range that your most powerful weapons could launch and doing that repeatedly. And then if something closed with you to a range or left you to, retreated to a range that you weren't comfortable shooting a lot of your weapons, you could still kind of do your thing. You weren't useless. You could still, be firing weapons. But then you put in bulwark, and it's like, no, I'd rather just wait. I'll run in bulwark, and then as soon as I'm at the optimal range, I'll melt his mech. GG.
Surrounded by adversaries like that, I hope
Haha.
you know
I don't know what my plan here is, though. I'm supposed to be a blitz. All I got was a KO.
you want to fight one against 11.
Yeah, I'm so brain fried right now.
Let the bed bugs bite. Really,
Run, dude, run!
massive.
You're gonna impact this turn 8. The guy's just like, what are you doing, man? Just get it over with. Get it ogre with, as we saw earlier.
That's a dangerous place to be.
Can I have some re-rolls next half, please? Yeah, totally. I totally love the game. That's why I'm excited to see what they do with it. Has a ton of potential. Has a ton of potential. And there's probably a lot of people that really just enjoyed the story and the one-off, and they just want to play it once and put it on the shelf, right? Like, so to speak. I was looking for that sort of replayable. And I think a lot of the pieces that they engineered, like, why do the event system if they didn't want things to be replayable? Why have the random mission loadouts if they didn't want it to be kind of replayable, right? So it seemed like that's what they wanted, but didn't really pull off. And so it teased me. It's like, oh, I want this super replayable thing I could just play, do a run every couple years, or whatever for the rest of my life, right? Or until the next one comes out, right? So, oh yeah, talking about BattleTech, sorry. Yeah, and the value was amazing. Yeah, average price. Like, I loved it. But yeah, I'd like to love it even more. I'd like to put it into one of my favorite games of all time, I'm already blocking. I haven't even set up. Yeah, that's what it seems to me, Herviak. But yeah, just too many things were like not really designed to support a replayable. You got perfect defense again. So that's what I mean by that identity crisis. Like, did they want the best of both worlds? Like, did they want to tell a really rich story? And have the single player be really engaging and sort of linear in that respect, and then and then also be a super replayable game experience, like, because those are two pretty different games when it comes right down to it. So maybe they shot the moon and just tried to make a game that was the best at both of those things, when it's really, really challenging to do that. And now they're sort of realizing, well, gosh, everyone's done the story, and they've been begging us to be able to bypass the story right in the beginning, because they've done it, and then I was fine. It was good. I enjoyed it, but now I just want to replay the game a bunch. And so now they're trying to move more towards replayability, right? But like, the end point of the game where it's like, you finish the story and now you can just go around to different planets and farm out stuff and go on missions, and like that all fell really flat with me, mostly because I had optimized all the mechs in the game to the point where I was like, okay, I've done it. I've solved the math problem. I don't need to go around farming stuff, but yeah, so I'm not sure what they think of all that. Hopefully they want the same things I want, so that I can make a game that I'm really excited to play for 1,000 more hours. Shadespire, haven't heard of that one. What's it? Cool name though. You talking about Slay the Spire by any chance? I have played a lot of that one. It's the Games Workshop game. No, I haven't played that one.
Yes, they picked up the ball.
Let's go over here where the other tree isn't. Yes. Isn't. I don't know if any game will beat PoE. You talking about Pillars of Eternity? Path of Exile, okay. I probably should have guessed that. Yeah, I bounced off of Path of Exile. Obviously being, from Blizzard, been at Blizzard so long, Diablo was the thing. But I wholeheartedly agree with the sentiment that... Should I take this? I should, shouldn't I? Oh, Dauntless too. Get some. He means fake Diablo too. Yeah, like, I totally agree with the sentiment that Diablo has stagnated quite a bit, right? And Path of Exile did some really great things, right, in trying to address that stagnation. I thought a lot of the other, action RPGs did that. I thought what was it called? Can't remember the name of the one I bought. It had 3 versions. Oh, that's not probably helping you. Anyway, it was another action RPG. There have been a few, and one of my complaints about Blizzard, even back when I was working there, and I think it's still true today, is that a lot of the guys that work there on various teams don't play enough of the games that are in their genre to see what other people are kind of doing. and tons of really, really good stuff has been done. Path of Exile being one, where they did some really, really interesting things. There were things I didn't like. The atmosphere didn't catch me. I didn't feel like it was, like, in terms of that visceral feeling and some of the atmospheres and the artwork and stuff like that. Diablo, I felt, was stronger. Like the work they put into a barbarian leaping across the screen and smashing into something and having everything go flying and stuff breaking, like that just felt super good. And I don't think Path of Exile quite reached that in terms of like all the other accompanying elements, you know, art and physics and visuals and sounds and, you know, that kind of stuff. But some of their gameplay stuff was amazing. Changes to potions, you know, making potions really interesting decisions. And I didn't play it for very long. The barter system, I was iffy on. Now, Diablo's such a weird thing for, like, economy. Like, the economy of Diablo has always been broken, right? Like, you either had the auction house, which is a total train wreck. You had gold not being worth anything in Diablo 2. And so Stones of Jordan were, like, the actual currency. How many Stones of Jordan do you want to sell me for this grandfather or whatever? Just, like, they just had a lot of really bad economies. So I appreciated that Path of Exile was trying to create a new one, but yeah, it didn't really resonate for me. But anyway, fake Diablo. But yeah, I also think Diablo 3 made a lot of really bad decisions. Auction house being just one of them. Wow. I think I'll go here.
Close and personal,
You need to be close. So close they can smell your breath and see the dead insects in your teeth.
How many dodges am I going to succeed at? I guess that's the question. There's one. That was a big one. Ooh. Yeah, and that's the thing, I can't actually evaluate Average Rice because I haven't played it. And its business accomplishments I cannot speak highly enough about. I mean, what they did with how much they had. And that's why I feel bad, like, criticizing some of the art or the technical, you know, stuff, because, oh, I didn't want to do that, I just wanted to jump away. Now I can get up and walk, maybe. Unless it's a gym tree. Is nothing short of astounding, you know, like, yeah, so it's pretty unfair to expect them or ask them to be as high quality as a game that's made by Blizzard, because the difference in resources. So massive kudos in that respect. But at the end of the day, you know, as a gamer, we're all looking for the very best experience. You know, in all marks.
Smell of fireball.
No, a stun. And a KO. Wizard's gone. And I think a lot of people were so disenfranchised by Diablo 3 because of some of the mistakes they made, that it was just the perfect time for a game like Path of Exile to come out and just give everyone that kind of old school Diablo 2. So good for them. And they did a great job. I mean, for me, some of it is just like why I didn't resonate with it and didn't play very long with Diablo 3 or any of the others. I try them a lot of them. But I don't stick around just because I've been playing that game for 20 years, you know, like, and so it's difficult to keep my attention, you know, for that long. That's a long time to play a game. Diablo 2 is different because it's so emotional. The highs and lows are so crazy. He's got the ball down again. Yeah. Yeah, in Activision. Yeah. Definitely different business models out there, for sure. Ouch. Yeah. It's it's a sad part of the industry that the development teams in many cases are made up of people that are smart, hardworking, decent, you know. But they all a lot of them fall under the umbrella of these companies that are business first, you know. And, you know, tie the hands of a lot of good developers. Alright, so this guy can hit. Maybe get the ball back. BL2. It sure is, Zayat. That's funny.
Ball in danger.
BL Borderlands 2, okay. I didn't play that one all the way through. I will give it one of the best villains of all time. That was a great year, actually. That whole year was so good for video game villains. The Far Cry 3 one was super good. Yeah, that was a great year for villains. But yeah, I don't remember the story. Handsome Jack is nuts. Yeah, he was nuts. The only thing I really remember about the story was that Handsome Jack was awesome, right? Like, so I can't separate, like, I can't say the story was my favorite. All I can say is that Handsome Jack was out of control good. Because that was the memorable part for me. Game theory, that's amazing. Yeah, I do remember that there was something in the story, and again, I didn't finish it, but that's why he was a great villain. Not only was he hilarious, but because he believed what he's doing is right, you know, like, he believed. It's not like he just woke up one day and decided to be a psycho, which is, what a lot of villains are. Oh, guess I'll just start kicking puppies today. Like, yep, that's me. It's like, nope, they actually believe this is right for humanity or the universe or the world or whatever, social reform, whatever it is they're trying to accomplish, they actually believe in it. But I don't remember the specifics because I didn't finish it.
If the players pushed him, it was
Yeah, it's like,
Jim,
I guess it's like,
dangerous than players.
what was I going to say? I guess it's like, Thanos. Thanos is the hero.
This is going to be decisive. Their player went down like a sack of smuggling unmentionables.
Woot!
Well, they had to rush
Got away with it.
They went back. It's a solid tactic. To kill the fool carrying the ball.
Were they asleep then?
Aw.
I certainly
Yeah, they have gotten pretty exhausting. But Thanos did make a really good villain for all the same reasons, or many of the same reasons that Handsome Jack was a good villain. Something I didn't really think about, I mentioned this with Richard Garfield. He came by Blizzard one time and gave a speech on randomness and stuff like that. There was another talk we had from Jim Krieg, who's a comic book artist, and he wrote this whole foreword in front of his run on. It was a DC. Gosh, it was a DC book or comic series, but and he was trying to figure out why Lex Luthor was doing his thing. Why, what was his motivation essentially?
now it's just a simple matter of
And he was struggling with it. Jack's quest. Killed by the crowd. Because he failed to pick up the ball. So he was talking about having trouble coming up with motivation for Luthor, and someone at DC was calling him saying, "Hey, where's your stuff? Is it done yet?" He's not. No, I'm having trouble. It's like, and so when I said that thing earlier about he woke up one day and decided to be a psycho, like that was actually one of the suggestions from one of the DC managers, that isn't a writer. Just like, yeah, here's the thing: Lex Luthor is doing the things he is because he's a nut, he's just a bad guy. And Jim Krieg was just like, "Are you kidding me? Like, that's not how you write, That's like, no, right? Like, that's not how we're gonna make this go." And anyway, so he wrote this whole foreword in front of one of the best-selling things of all time from DC. about how the heroes need to be believable people, you know, like they need to be in order for, oh, he has wrestle. Oh, God. You can't just be this, I'm a psycho, therefore I kick puppies and try to blow up the world. And it really stuck with me, you know, because I'm not a writer, I'm a game designer. I let the writers do the writing. But that really stuck with me. Made a lot of sense. And, oh, do I want to get another guy surf, trying to pick this ball up? I gotta get it downfield, right? I don't have a lot of time. Haha! I think I still get surfed here, right? Unless I move one more. Hey-yo! Power halfling. Everybody wins. How's the Brett doing? Well, we lost a blitzer first game. We're going to lose our first game. Oh my. Average IC, I imagine he is. And that's something that the movies have all kind of done, is break a little bit from the comics, try to do something that's new, you know, not just cut and paste from the comics, with tons of, like, obviously tons of, like, callbacks and, you know, Easter eggs for people that have read the comics. But I wouldn't be surprised if Thanos was just like, you know, your average just galactic thug that just wants tons of power, and that's his thing, you know, like, there you go, villain. Put him in a comic. I haven't read a lot of that stuff. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. That's interesting, yeah. I didn't play a lot of the Resident Evil games. But the movies were just, yeah, just seemed like, yep, just standard action flick. Some jump scares, some grosser monsters each time, you know, like... I always felt like people enjoyed Resident Evil games quite a bit, but never knew why in particular, besides some of the characters. But because the gameplay... was pretty bad with the controller. That's why I never played. But the tension and the setting and the, you know, like, I have a friend that wouldn't play it at night in the dark or, you know, whatever, because it was like, nope, too scary. Oh no. So yeah, didn't really play him to know what the story was, but yeah, I mean the story was just nothing in the movies. So I imagine almost anything would have been better. Great setting though. I mean that setting is amazing. That was one thing I did appreciate from the movies. It's just a great setting.
This could be a sack. I love it.
But yeah, setting without a decent story isn't enough.
They left the ball carrier exposed. There could be a counter-strike.
Dope. Carl Urban Dread. That guy beefed up, didn't he? I just saw him in some other movie on Netflix with Sofia Vergara. And he was just huge compared to like Bones, you know? Like, it's like, wow, what happened to you? So yeah, I believe it when you say Judge Dredd, you know. I'm thinking of the right Carl Urban, right? Guy who played Dr. Bones.
Possession is the key to winning. You must drive the ball as this team is just kicking away.
Yeah, Star Trek Doctor. Goes for his third perfect defense here. Run! The joy of... Oh, sweet. Good score on this. Yeah, the joy of early chaos and Nurgle. They're both down.
Bad puns.
Oh, I ran full speed. I didn't have to run all that way. You're what, 7? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it's only one further back. Let's see if I can make any GFIs here. It's just like dwarves, except they fall down a lot more, which gives them chances to, you know, knock things out or get SPPs.
This is going to be enough to come out on top.
On the edge of the pit, within grasping range of the fence.
Jeez.
They're going for the ball. Good defensive block.
No touchdowns for me. He's got it. Three zero incoming. Nice. Winner. Oh, niggled. That's a restart.
I like this. The dog related.
Ooh.
Not far from the end zone.
Polo forks in.
Here comes the last chance pass.
The ball flew high and true, but not
Of course he did. He's done.
It reminds me of the famous story of Nurgling and the Great Unclean. But this time, no miracles.
Two big goons get together and fall on you. And you can really hear. That player's shuffling off the field. Possibly off his mortal coil.
I don't recommend this game without rerolls. I really don't.
Last minute pass. Will it go anywhere?
After that match, I believe to change
Defeat.
my undergarments.
Exhausted.
Yeah, do your costume whatever.
Yeah. It is an emotional game. Oh, that's pretty rough. Although I had lots of block and wrestle, so yeah, his dice were great. Armor was pretty good too. Considering.
Ready for a lead match, Bob?
I never really
Alright, let's see what we got here. Dead Blitzer, can't rebuy. Sounds about right. I'm always good for a dead Blitzer in the first game. Alright, that was game 1 with my Brits. Hope you enjoyed it. Got crushed by halflings. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. Come follow me on Twitch. And I'll see you soon for more Blood Bowl.